All right, I'd like to go back in open session. We're here. Could I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Barbarulo. Ms. Favelovich. Mr. Itkin.
Here?
Mrs. Mahan.
Present.
Ms. Quackenbush. Mr. Rosenberg.
Here.
Mr. Santana.
Present.
Mr. Spindell.
Present.
Mr. Banta.
Here, Mr. Barbarulo will not be with us tonight. New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law is enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies in which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Fair Lawn Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof, distributed to the persons on the approved list, posted in the Board of Education Administrative Office, and sent to the Bergen Record and Star Ledger. The announcement posting for the regular monthly meeting, along with the date, time, and place thereof, was distributed on August 16, 2021. Items to be discussed during the closed work session may include personnel matters, student matters, legal matters, negotiations and/or grievances, and tactics and techniques utilized in protecting public safety and property. The results of these discussions will be made public as soon as possible. Would you join me in a flag salute, please? Okay. Superintendent, any comments?
Good evening. Thank you for coming for our, everybody hear me okay? Yep, good. All right. Thank you for coming for our last board meeting of the summer, our first board meeting before the school year kicks off. Many of you have received communications from us, the principals, administration, whoever it may be. Excuse me 1 second. About the opening of school. We are set to open next week. Obviously, I'm sure there's some questions regarding protocols and directions that we're going in and executive orders that we have to follow as a district. But we are set to open. And it's been 18 months since we've seen our students in the buildings. We are very excited to see all of our students in the building at the same time, in person, full day, 5 days a week. We are set for our tents and our tables to be fully assembled within the next couple of weeks. If you've driven around town, you've already seen them, and they are going to be a big asset to us for lunchtime as well, for us to spread our students out. We are beyond thrilled of the fact that, you know, if we want to say that we're coming out of this pandemic, or the fact that our schools are open again. You know, we are sitting here with our masks on right now. We know that's part of Executive Order 251. But, you know, there's going to be very minimal restrictions as far as it comes to our COVID protocols when it comes to our schools reopening. So as time goes by, we see less and less restrictions. I like to believe that we're on a trend to us hopefully being back in complete normal fashion at some point. I think we are all on the same page when it comes to that. I am sympathetic. I am empathetic as a parent. I understand. But we are in this together for our children, and pleased that we will be back in person starting next week. With that being said, I'd like to discuss our district goals. We have 4 district goals this school year. One of our district goals, it's all part of your agenda, surrounds around mental health. It seems like a common theme for the last couple of years, but it's something that we feel very strongly in. If you look at all 4 of your district goals, all 4 of them are tied to post-pandemic, but they're also tied directly to our strategic plan that we set several years ago. The mental health goal will ensure that our students and our staff are in a great frame of mind when they come back. If we don't have our mental health in check with our staff and our students, we will never get to the academic piece with our staff and our students. So year after year, I'd like to thank the board and the community who continues to allow us to keep increasing our investment in mental health as a district. The second goal is social emotional learning. We are looking to increase our social emotional learning at the secondary level. As many of you know, at the elementary level, we have a kindergarten through 6th grade Sanford Harmony social emotional learning curriculum. And now we're looking to implement and develop a curriculum for the secondary level for our students as well. The third goal is to roll out technology at the middle school, a one-to-one initiative. We are continuing to roll out technology. We've been on a fast pace the last couple of years in updating our infrastructure as it relates to technology and rolling out a one-to-one at the high school. Every student will now have a 3190 device at the high school. When we hit this pandemic, we were a little bit ahead of the game with our technology and purchasing devices because we were on that fast track for a one-to-one. So our next part of the initiative is to roll out one-to-one devices, Chromebooks, at the middle school, where all middle school students will have them by no later than October. The elementary schools, we will be creating committees come September to work with the principals to discuss what devices will look like at the elementary school, whether they will be carts or they will be devices that go home. But we want stakeholder and parent involvement in that decision-making process because there's a lot of back and forth on, do you feel like a kindergarten student should take a Freudian slip. Do you think a kindergarten student should take a device home? Should it stay in the classroom? So, you know, it's easy for me to make that decision, but just because I make that decision, it doesn't involve the stakeholders who are using them day in and day out. And we would love to have that input before we make that decision on a costly investment for the district. And the last goal revolves around looking at our academic gaps and learning loss as from COVID. We will be having benchmark assessments. We will be working with our students and our staff to identify any learning loss or academic gaps that we see and how we could address them to make sure that we keep our students up to speed as it relates to where they are academically. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. At this time, I'm going to open the floor up to the public for comments on the agenda items. And if you just step up to the microphone, state your name and street. I don't want to know what house you live in, just your name and street and town. And any item on the agenda, feel free to come up and make a comment, ask some questions. I just ask that you just tell us what item and what page it is. So, anybody want to talk about the agenda? Okay, seeing none. Board members, questions, comments on the agenda? Mr. Rosenberg.
Thank you, Gene. First of all, I want to talk about S1. And I was really kind of like beside myself when I saw that two of our social workers who have been with the district 29 and 39 years, Deborah Donnelly and Jeanette Fletcher, are retiring. They have affected so many kids' lives especially of our special needs population, that it's going to be a big loss. So I wish them, Giovanni, custodian for 21 years, a paraprofessional for 11 years, and then before aftercare supervisor lunch aide here for 37 years. Unbelievable. I wish them all well in their retirement. Talking about the district goals, S2D, page 8, 7? S2B, page 7. I want to thank the superintendent. We had a education committee meeting on Monday night, and we discussed these goals. The thing I was impressed with these goals is a few years ago, we had a strategic planning committee that was comprised of the public, board members, and administration sitting for quite a few meetings, coming up with these buckets that we wanted the district to go into. And every one of these goals not only helps us with recovering from COVID, but it also, every one of those goals fit in those buckets that every one of us, including the community, had a part in. So I was very impressed, and I want to say it was a healthy I want to say to my fellow board members that was a very healthy conversation on Monday night about him, and it falls into what we're trying to do as a district. So Those are my, my main comments, but thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Any other board members on the agenda? Mark?
Yes, I too want to address the district goals S2B. I also was at that committee meeting, and I wanted to let you know why I'm going to abstain on this particular vote. As stated at the meeting, I didn't care basically for the procedure or the process that was dealt with in order to get to these district goals. The goals I felt were good, but possibly they could have been even better to address our needs. These are our blueprints for the year of 21-22. There was no participation whatever from the community. There was no participation from the teachers. And I felt also that there was no participation really from the entire board. The committee took back recommendations to the board, and that basically was the end of it. With the community involved, with the staff involved, and with the board involved, I think we could have gotten possibly more comprehensive goals. So with that in mind, again, I'm going to abstain on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Other board members, questions, comments on the agenda? Rita?
No. Your mic isn't on.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so one thing is, I took the agenda for the public, and the back of the agenda is for the 2020-2021 school year goals. I was just wondering if the public gets the goals as well.
They do. Is it the,
I took it from the back pile, the agenda. Yeah, absolutely. This is,
my apologies, the wrong set of goals was attached to the agenda for the public, not the one that we have, but they will be up on the website tomorrow morning for you to see.
okay, one more question. How will board members know if the goals were achieved or satisfactory progress made? I was wondering if there would be a rubric for it or something so that, because I know board members look at it and say, yes, it was achieved, satisfaction made. I was wondering, can the administration make a rubric? What is considered achieved? What is considered satisfactory? What is considered, so that as board members, we understand what's going on.
Sure. The goals will be actually, as the year progresses, there'll be action items that are tied to these goals, and we provide a mid-year update to the board as well as an end-of-the-year update on our goals to see that we achieve them.
So there will be some kind of rubric or some kind of what we can expect?
There will be action items tied to the goals to see that if we get those action items, if we actually met the goal.
Oh, it will be given to the board members.
Yeah, it'll be presented. We present it mid-year as well as end of the year. You receive it as well.
Can we also get something in beginning so that we know what we expect to see? Would that be possible?
I didn't hear the question.
Would it be possible for us to get the goals ahead of time so that, like not goals, but the actions like ahead of time so we can
So-
actually see?
The goal, this was explained at length at our education meeting the other night, and our special education meeting. And it was also included in our minutes that went to the full board. But we will, at length, we will explain them. We will go back, and there will be a mid-year update. As I explained, this is a goal. And as I explained to the committee meetings, these are goals that we hopefully will achieve. That's exactly what we're looking to do. They're not promises, but they are goals that we will work towards throughout the school year. So as we work on these goals, we will be providing the board updates on how we are progressing with these goals, and I will update the board in a timely manner.
Thank you.
That it, Rita? Thank you. Anyone else? Board members? Vlad?
Good evening. Can you hear me? Yeah, okay. And I apologize, I might be running longer than my allotted time. So today we're approving curriculum, and we're also approving a training plan for the staff. I want to talk just a little bit about equity and diversity. Our curriculum has been now updated to include these topics. And there is also more training on these topics. So I just hope that equity and diversity will be taught and implemented in inclusive manner that is including all kinds of people. Our town is diverse, and we should use it to teach our children and not just focus on few specific issues that are hyped up by the media. So that's that topic. Another thing, I think there was a minor error in the minutes from the monthly meeting of July 22nd. Are you guys, you're fixing it, right?
Yes, that was correct.
Yes, we corrected it.
Okay. Then district goals. I also agree that I think the goals should get more input from more people, from the full board, and it would have been a better process if the goals were created with more input from the full board, as well as from the public and teachers.
I'd like to just elaborate on, the board has board goals that they set. At the last year, I believe it was, or 2 years ago, there was a meeting exclusively just to discuss board goals, where we spoke about them. Matt Lee from New Jersey School Board came, spent a lot of time, the board, working on their goals. This process that we're doing for the district goals, I hear everybody's feedback, and I heard it in education, special education committee the other night as well. This process hasn't changed in years. Not saying that that's always the answer, but this isn't different than the way that we've done it for as many years as I've been here, and that's been 5 years, and what I've been told is similar to how it was done prior to us, to myself being here as well, and the process has been working to move the district forward. So I hear what you're saying. I take everybody's feedback and input. I hear you, but this is not something new that we've done this year, and I just want to remind you that you do have your own goals as well that you work on as a Board of Education.
Yes, thank you, Nick. For me personally, this is the first time I'm voting on the board goals. This is my second year, and last year, this was the only meeting in the year that I had to miss. So this is the first time I'm voting.
Understood.
One other item, F6J, amendment to the F like finance, 6J. This is the sidebar agreement with the Fair Loan Education Association. It's kind of a surprise to me. I didn't know that these things are being negotiated. I didn't know that the agreement is being opened up. So I feel like I just don't have enough information to vote on it. That's it.
Thank you, Vlad. Thank you, Vlad. Mr. Santana.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Because of the several updates on the agenda, I don't have the accurate pages, so please forgive me on that. F6J, I'm going to abstain. I have not received any update, and I have not seen the actual document, so I'm going to abstain on that. F6B, Mr. Norcia, have the teachers found this program, IXL, have they found that this program improves student achievement?
Yes.
Do we also use a program similar to this called Khan Academy?
Dr. Lakatina, Mr. Franco, would you like to elaborate a little bit further? I see somebody's hand up behind me.
Do we also utilize a similar program called Khan Academy, which is free? Do we utilize Khan Academy in our district?
It is not a district program that we use, no. Individual individual teachers use it, I'm not sure. That is not what we use IXL as a district.
Okay. I have read that many experts consider Khan Academy to be a very user-friendly. It's free, and I just wonder if that will be useful for the district. But F1B, I would like to say thank you for all the donations. Mr. Norcia, how is the district going to decide where in our school grounds to plant the trees? These are about 8 trees per school, about 7
So
trees.
that was sent out on the finance committee. We have finance, buildings and grounds, facilities committee minutes. So what was sent out was the actual map that was put together of where those trees are going to go with the property lines.
I did not see that when I read the minutes. Can you resend that to me, please?
Sure.
All right. And I thank the Borough of Fairlawn for donating trees to the district. I'm very thankful. But our schools have a lot of trees. And as a resident of Fairlawn, when I drive to Fairlawn Avenue, tears come to my eyes. Because anyone who knows the history of Fairlawn Avenue, and if you compare how Fairlawn Avenue used to look back in the days to how it looks now, we practically have no trees between Plaza Road and 208. So I think I will encourage the borough to also plant trees where we need them, because we need them in many of our main corridors. Our schools have trees. We are thankful for the trees, but they need to plant the trees in some of the main corridors, which really need it. P5J, I'm going to be voting no. P5H, I don't know if this has, let me just, on the agenda that was sent, there were 2 positions which did not list any names for the stipend positions. I had them on page 35. Okay, still that case. Is this permissible to vote on this item even though there are 2 positions that list no names? And aren't we approving the individuals for these stipends?
No, at the next agenda, that name and the amount will be on. We're not approving anybody, it's just there in the table.
Okay, I see. P5G, I see head coaches. When are we going to approve the assistant coaches for those positions?
Those are spring sports, so we'll be still working on them, so we still have like a good year before we get
Okay.
to them, but we were trying to get the head coaches done first.
Got it. P5F, why do we have so many 6 periods? This is, it looks, if you can answer that.
No, this is normal. This is us
looks-
This is us balancing the schedule. Year to year, this is typical. It also avoids us hiring more FTEs or full-time teachers. If we need 2 extra sections of English, instead of hiring a full-time teacher, we compensate our teachers for a 6 period as per the FLE contract.
All right. The reason I ask is because it looks to me a little larger than what I have usually been accustomed to seeing. P1A, I'm going to abstain. E1, item E1D. How is this going to be shared with all the classroom teachers to benefit our students?
What number was that? E or P?
Item E1, agenda item E1, and then item E1D. That is for the workshop E1D. Where is it?
That's the Orton Gillingham one?
Page
Page 11, E1, B as in boy, Mr. Santana?
Yes,
Okay.
page 11.
Page 11, E1B, Intermediates Institute for Multi-Sensory Education, Orton Gillingham Virtual Training. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Right, it's the Orton Gillingham one, is that the one?
That's the one, Orton Gillingham.
No, sorry. No, I meant, no, I say D as in dog. E1D.
Oh,
The
sorry.
teaching students to ask their own questions, best practices.
Yeah, so we have, right now,
Go ahead.
sorry. Right now, our science department has been working for at least a year now on questioning techniques because we know that that's an important part of the strategies that teachers use in the classroom to help their students understand information and content. And so as the head of the science department, Mr. Durso is going for additional training in that so he can pass it on to the teachers within his department.
Okay, I think this is a very important workshop, and I would like all the teachers to hear from, you know, to
All of the
replicate this
te-
information.
All of the teachers in the science department
Yes.
will, absolutely.
Okay, out of respect for my time, I will stop, and then I will go with my second round. Thank you.
Okay, Vlad, round two.
Somebody just texted me that the sound on YouTube is not good.
All right, Corey, Rick, you want to look into that, please? Thank you. Ready, Vlad? Okay. Anybody else? Didn't speak yet. Mr. Santana, you want your second round?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. S3B. One second, I'll be right with you.
I believe it's page 8. You're welcome.
Page 8, sorry about that.
Not 9?
No, page 9.
Page 9. 3B.
Don't listen to me. My apologies.
S3B, page 9,
Yeah,
okay.
S3B, I have not seen the document, so I'm going to abstain.
S3B,
S3B.
That was
Sam
actually-
3 Boy.
that was in the part of your agenda that came home last Friday. It was part of your agenda that was sent home to all the board members. You received that.
Maybe something's wrong with my email, but
It was right in the middle of the whole entire
Okay.
attachment.
S2D, page 8. I'm going to vote S2D, page 8. I'm going to vote yes. And S2B, as in boy, last but never least, I totally agree with my fellow board member, Mr. Spindell. You know, these goals, I agree with, I do share these goals. I agree with these goals, but I think the community needs to be heard. I think the process we followed this year was totally different than what we have been following in the time that I've been on the board, which is we usually dedicate enough time to discuss this as a board, and also we usually have members of the public speaking. And I do agree with what my fellow board members stated. We need to hear from the community, the parents, educators in town, and the community. So I respect the fact that these goals were brought to a committee, but committee has 4 members. We are a board of 9, plus we have the community. So it is very important for me to have that missing to have that element. All right. So I'm going to abstain, and I hope we change how we go about adopting anything of this magnitude and not discuss it in a committee, but discuss it in a committee as a whole. Allow sufficient time for discussion and hear from the community, which I believe we are here to serve the children and the community. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Santana. Okay. Oh, Mike, okay, your turn, second round.
I'm sorry. I just want to say two things, and I'll say it. One is about the goals. Since I've been on the board, it is the way we've been doing it. But the other thing I want to say is that we are a board, we have chosen as a board to be a board of committees. So that way, the whole, it's a time thing, and it's also when you have a cross-section of a board there, and this was read at 2 different committees. As far as the community being involved, yes, I want the community involved in everything, and the community is involved in everything because the community has a chance to email us, the community has a chance to talk at board meetings, and the community votes us to be their representatives on the school board. So I feel that the district goals, the way we do the district goals, is sufficient, but I think if other board members feel it's not sufficient, then we should take care of it at board retreats or board meetings where we discuss it, or work sessions where we discuss it. But right now, I do feel that we have followed past practice and best practices. Thanks.
Thank you, Mike. Anyone else? Cindy?
Yes, I just want to talk about the district goals for a minute, and I was also going to say about how our board runs as far as committees go, and I think it's just a lack of trust if you cannot trust what your committee members are presenting to you, trust what your superintendent is presenting to you. We have board goals, and they're our goals. These are the district goals, and they piggybacked off of the meeting that we had with the community, the teachers, the district, and the board members. Every single one of those goals was in that presentation that we had by New Jersey school boards. So I just wanted to say that.
Thank you, Cindy. Okay, Mark.
I just wanted to comment on the district goals once again. Just by reading a short sentence from the West Orange Board of Education. It reads as follows. District goals are the major focus for the year. The opinions of the community matter and will influence priorities in future planning. And I leave you with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Julie?
I just wanted to reference what Mark had stated. I agree that the involvement of the community do matter. This would have been a great opportunity for any community member who is interested in sharing their insight about our district goals to get up there and discuss it. And for those people that are here today, thank you so much for coming out and being here. But at this point in time, no one did share those, which leads me to believe, as someone who you guys voted for to act as your constituent, that you agree with these goals. So in the future, if there are people out there who have concerns, please step up and say them, because there are 5,400 children in our buildings, which lead me to believe there are roughly 8,000 parents or guardians, as well as other community members who are stakeholders in our district. And if we don't hear from you directly, then we can only base it off of people we do hear from. So please make sure that if you are passionate about something or you want to get involved, that you get up and say something. Because tonight, we did not hear from anyone on these district goals. So I am trusting the people that we have leading our district to make sure that you guys are doing the best thing for our students.
They actually in there, they have the old goals on there. Unfortunately, the ones from last year were attached to the back of the agenda, not the new updated ones. My apologies, but the new ones will be on there.
Hey, Gene, can we read the?
Yes, I will read the goals. I have no problem doing it. I didn't read them word by word. I just spoke about what they were. I'm sorry, what's that?
I have an idea. why don't we pull the goals till the next public meeting?
We really shouldn't, because we need to start the school year with our goals. I wouldn't recommend that.
Okay, all right,
It's not-
never mind.
The first goal, to support the mental health and social emotional well-being of staff and students by providing programs and services that foster positive relationships, nurture a sense of community and security, promote efficacy and self-help skills, and address mental health challenges as we transition back to full-time in-person instruction. Second goal, to develop a social emotional learning program at the middle and high school levels that builds upon the themes of diversity and inclusion, empathy and critical thinking, communication, problem solving, and peer relationships incorporated into the existing elementary SEL program. The third goal, to identify and address student learning gaps resulting from interrupted learning to ensure students make progress towards the New Jersey student learning standards. The fourth goal, to integrate the use of technology via an expanded one-to-one initiative in the middle schools to communicate across a variety of mediums, enable students to choose the appropriate tools to accomplish their tasks, and enhance students' overall learning experience.
Thank you, Mr. Norcia. Julie, you want to continue? Microphone.
I seem to have missed that the Fairlawn District goals for 21-22 were not in the current agenda for anybody to review online or when they sat down here. Do we have the ability to go back into public and give people the option to speak now that they've heard them, or is that not something that's feasible?
If somebody wants to say something about this when the board is done, I'll let them speak. Julie, are you okay? I mean, is there anything else you want to say?
Can you clarify what you mean by the letting the board speak? Is that going to be after we vote or before we vote?
Not right now, before we vote.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Okay, so if somebody wants to get up and speak about the board goals that Nick just read, please step up. District goals, sorry, district goals.
Good afternoon, or good evening. My name is Pamela Coles, 13-34 George Street, Fairlawn, New Jersey. These were just handed to me. I did not have a moment to peek at them. This is a hidden agenda, or it's occurring as a hidden agenda. It is not open. There is no open forum. And you all voted without us. I suggest that this board take a look at what's being hidden and what the hidden agenda really is. My kids don't go to this school any longer, but I sure as hell pay a lot of taxes. And this board reaps the benefit. Because I'm looking at some of these salaries in here at $176,000. Are you kidding me? Something needs to have a check here, a real check in place, because you, as individual committee members, are not holding each other to account, or not holding each other in check.
Excuse me.
Because I sure as heck will. And,
Ms. Coles,
yes.
are you
there
going to
has
talk about the goals some more? Or is
Yes.
there, okay.
So the goals that I was just handed are not available anywhere. So, my request is that you put a stay or a hold on these goals until they could be fully read by this community and the several thousand parents that are out there. Because I, and the taxpayers, because I, as a taxpayer, have a right to be voiced. That's all I'm going to say, because this is not being read, especially since it hasn't been published or made public yet. I'm going to leave this here for the next person who would like to do.
Okay, I just spoke to the attorney, and he has made a suggestion. We're going to vote on this, and if it passes, we'll have goals. But what we'll do is next month, we'll have some time, and we'll have a discussion on the goals, and at that time, the board can vote to amend or rescind after some comment from the public. So we're going to
Now,
vote on
it
them
has to
tonight.
be amended
Ms.
or-
Coles, could I finish, please?
Yes, you can.
Thank you. So at this time, we're going to call a vote. If it passes, we will talk about it again next month, all right? We'll make sure that there's time on the agenda to talk about just about the district goals.
Yes, we need time to digest it.
No, they're going to be
And school,
Okay, first of all, if somebody wants to speak, you have to come up to the podium and not yell from the back of the auditorium.
Okay, and with
Second, Ms. Coles, what I'm saying is this: the goals are going to be voted on tonight. We're going to publish them on the website tomorrow.
that's after the fact. That's after the fact. No!
Okay.
You don't do things after the fact. We haven't had the opportunity to read these. Words matter. Goals matter. We haven't had the opportunity to read these goals. This board is working backwards. I suggest you put it in
Okay.
the right order.
Thank you, Ms. Coles. Thank you.
Mr. Banta.
Unless you.
Mr. Santana, you've not been recognized.
My
Thank you, Ms.
apologies.
Coles.
My apologies for yelling, but maybe I'm a little passionate about the education that these kids are learning. My kids went through a
Ms.
private
Coles,
school.
now you're getting off the goals again.
Now, I want to read them before it gets passed.
Thank
I
you.
will not.
Thank
I will
you.
not be satisfied until these goals are read by everyone and out there.
I understand.
you.
Thank you.
Hi, Irene Cogan, Linwood Road, Fairlawn. And yeah, I agree with everything Ms. Cole said, but as you were reading these off, and I was jotting them down, and obviously my notes are kind of not as thorough as whatever stated here that nobody had the time to review, and that's a point I agree with. I have some questions on the first goal, which, if I'm not mistaken, deals with social and emotional support, mental health, and things of that nature, and staff and students, and so on, right? So my question is, how's that going to work? Is my child going to be pulled aside and asked questions without me present for any particular reason? How does this work? Where's the details on it? I'd like to take it off altogether, honestly. Can you hear me better? Okay. All right, let me try that again. And I say this with all due respect. So the first one, right, to support mental health, social, emotional well-being of staff and students by providing programs and services that foster positive relationships, nurture a sense of community security, promote advocacy, self-help skills, address mental health challenges as we transition back to full-time in-person instruction. To me, on the surface, that's great, but it's a lot of words that are strung together, and I don't understand how exactly they will be implemented, and I have questions regarding that. How will my son be affected by this? Will people be overstepping their bounds? These are concerns I have as a parent. So that's just for the first one, and if I may, I'd like to.
Go ahead.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Number 2, and I'm gonna read it out loud because nobody has a copy of this. To develop a social emotional learning, SEL, which is code for critical race theory, program at the middle and high school levels that build solving and peer relationships incorporated into the existing elementary SEL program. My son's in elementary school, he's in Milnes. All right, I've read many articles on SEL, New Jersey's rebranding of CRT. I am accepting of everyone, and I teach my son to do the same. I myself, I'm a legal citizen. I came here as a kid from a communist country. I have a lot of concerns about my son potentially
being made to feel a certain way, as I'm seeing happening in other school systems, in other districts, in other states, based on some of the curriculum. And I have questions on the curriculum itself, too. How will SEL be implemented? Will it be as part of one section of some kind of subject? Will it be all interspersed throughout? Why is it that we as parents don't get to see the details? That's a concern for me. It's a new curriculum. I understand they got passed. I got that. But, I mean, we're taxpayers, like Ms. Cole said. I'm one of them.
Time's up.
You know, we'd like to have some kind of say in what's taught to our kids and how it affects them and whether it's in line with our household beliefs.
Nick, you're going to answer the
Sure.
questions?
The first goal is mental health. You had asked about that.
Yes,
It will not be invasive to your child by any means. It hasn't been since we rolled this goal out several years ago. In Fair Lawn, we have a 3-tiered mental health program. And the first tier of mental health is our guidance counselors, our child study team members, where they actually, students that are identified, you may reach out to us and say, I would love for somebody to talk to my son, my son or my daughter, if they could do that. The second tier of our mental health program is through Care Plus that we contract with. And that's more of an intensive Care Plus program, but it never happens without the parents' consent. We work very closely with our families. They do a little bit more of individual and group counseling with our students who may have been in crisis, may be struggling with something and need to speak with somebody. And then our third level of mental health is through Effective School Solutions, who we also contract with. That's our most at-risk level of mental health, and that's more intensive. It's individual, group, and family counseling, so you would most certainly be a part of that. And we don't do any of that without the parents' consent. It's just adding additional mental health counselors in every one of our schools so that our students who may be struggling academically, behaviorally, socially, that we're there to support them, especially coming out of a pandemic. So we're not going to just go and pull your son or daughter out of class and start meeting with them without your approval or your participation in it as well. The second goal is Sanford is social emotional learning. I disagree. It is not CRT. It's not synonymous with CRT. I know there's a lot of stuff out there on CRT, but that's not what our K through 6 social emotional learning Sanford Harmony curriculum is. It's actually really nice. It's teaching students on how to be buddies and how to, make friends with different students in the classes who they may not normally talk about or talk with. So I hear what you're saying, but we're going to agree to disagree. I do not think SEL is CRT by any means. Thank you.
Are there more details on it that parents can review so we could feel more comfortable about what it includes and what it doesn't?
No, because if you, and I'm not going to go back and forth, so if you do have questions, you could feel free to email me if you want, but that second goal that's in front of you,
Yep.
It says to develop an SEL program. It hasn't started yet. It's to develop a program for the secondary level. It's not to implement the program, it's to develop. Thank you.
Okay, any other members of the audience on the goals? There'll be open comments later for the public.
Hello, my name is Inessa Ganiline from Westmoreland Avenue. I just want to say that the mental health of the kids,
Speak to microphone.
the best way to get better, their mental health, is to get them back to normal as much as possible. And back to normal means, well, I have an issue with masks in particular, and I know that it's a governor's order.
Ma'am, if you have something about the goals, we'll do it now. If you have something about masks, we'll do that. We're going to open it up to the public.
It all
After we
comes
vote, we're going to open up to the public
together
for any
with the
comments.
mental health, because I think that wearing masks 100% of the time is very stressful. It's non-productive. They're going to be reluctant to go to school and participate, and learning in general is going to be affected by that. I just wanted to, I know that we are all bound by the governor's order, but if we could at least give it a try and think about it, maybe as they are sitting at their desks, they can take the masks off to listen better and for better participation. Walking through the crowded hallways and stuff like that, I understand, but maybe we can take it easy on the kids.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. President, I would like to make a motion to, in consideration of the community, I would like to make a motion to address the goals in a special action meeting to be held as soon as possible. But I think we need to listen to the community, and we're going to have many major initiatives that require the community's input, such as the district 5-year revision, district
Mr.
5-year
Santana,
revision plan. So
You can make the motion, but see if we get a second.
So the reason I want to make the motion is we want everybody who's here for a very passionate and righteous issue. We
Mr.
want them to-
Santana, you've had your chance to speak.
Yes,
You're making a motion, make the motion, see if we get a second.
yes. Make a motion to table the district goals to a later meeting as soon as possible to give proper notice to the community so they can be heard, so we can listen to them, so we can have a more collaborative approach and listen to the community.
I second that.
Who's the second? Me. Okay, all right, Brooke, you got that motion? There's a motion to table the
Have a
goals.
motion to table as to be.
Okay, thank you. And we'll get back to the public in a minute. Right now, we're going to vote on Mr. Santana's motion. All right, call the roll, please.
Do all the members understand the motion?
I think they do.
So Mr. Santana's asking that we have a special action meeting as soon as possible.
Good evening. Mr. Santana has made a motion to table these goals. They're not voted on tonight, without indication as to when they're going to be voted on. There's a motion to table them, take them off the agenda, not vote on them tonight, and there's a second. That's the motion on the floor.
Okay.
Question?
And I also said you didn't include everything I said. I said, and also, so we can have so we can address it in a separate meeting as soon as possible, so we can listen to the community and have a more collaborative process.
Okay, that's fine. As soon as possible. What? We had a first, okay, yeah, sure.
So I just want to be clear. You would like to start the academic school year with no goals in place for our staff and for our administrators.
No, we can have a meeting before
Our kids-
September 2nd.
No, we can't.
Why?
Because our kids come back our staff comes back on Wednesday. By the time we advertise and get it into the papers, the weekend's here. I mean,
What's the legal
Okay.
requirement for the advertisement?
48 hours,
2 days, so we can have a meeting on Monday.
except that some of us are not going to be here Monday.
I'll be here first thing in the morning.
There's a motion and a second. Was there another question?
I just wanted to ask whether or not this would be able to be implemented before the start of the school year. That will affect the way I vote.
We're going to open school, if the motion passes, we open school without goals. Simple as that. There's no other way around it. All right, I mean, there's no meetings planned for next week. It's Labor Day on the week after. I'm going to be away a couple of days, so I don't know how we have the meeting before school opens. So, actually, okay, let's just call the roll.
Jane, just one more comment, please.
Go ahead, Mark.
I think it's advantageous to all of us to start the year with these district goals, come back within another 2 weeks or so to review them with the community, and if need be, revise them. Because I think Mr. Narcia is correct. You do not start a new school year without goals. So you're given, we're all given, and I'm one who definitely wanted input from the community. But I think it's wise to start the school year with the goals, come back within 2 weeks or so, revise them if necessary, and then continue with these goals in that manner. Thank you.
Okay, roll call.
Ms. Favelovich? Yes. Mr. Itkin?
Yes.
Mrs. Mahan? Ms. Quackenbush?
No.
Mr. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Santana? Mr. Spindell?
Yes.
Mrs. Mahan?
Hold on.
He voted for me. Since everybody feels that way, I'm going to say yes.
I didn't hear what Mark voted.
Mr. Spindell?
Yes.
Mr. Santana? Yes, I heard him say yes.
Yes.
Mrs. Mahan?
No.
And Mr. Banta?
No.
The motion passed, yes.
Motion passed, it's pulled. It'll be held, we'll have another meeting on it in a couple of weeks. All right, thank you. Moving on. All right. Let's vote on everything, and then we'll get back out to the public. A motion for S1 through, oh, sorry, G1 and G2.
Yeah, but we pulled the motion.
Gene, there was somebody speaking here.
We're going to get back to the public when we're done voting on this. That item has now been pulled. So when we're done voting, we'll get back to the public, and they come up and talk about whatever they want. Okay? I just, tell who? You can stay there. I don't know who you are. I don't have my glasses on, but you can stay there, or we can come back to you, but it's going to take like 5 minutes to do the voting. Okay? Okay, G1 and G2.
So moved.
I need a
Second.
second. Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Itkin?
Yes.
Ms. Quackenbush?
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Spindell?
Yes.
Ms. Favelovich?
Yes, but abstain in August 5th executive session?
I also have to abstain on the August 5th executive session. Thanks, Rita.
Mrs. Mahan?
Yes, abstain on July 28th.
Mr. Santana?
Yes.
Mr. Banta?
Yes. A motion for S1 through S3.
So moved.
Roll call, please.
We're excluding S2B now, right?
All right, S2B is on hold till next month. You're right. Thank you, Vlad, for pointing that out. Okay, call the roll, please.
Mrs. Mahan?
Yes.
Ms. Quackenbush?
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Favelovich? Yes. Mr. Santana?
S3B, abstain, yes on everything else.
Mr. Spindell?
Yes.
Mr. Itkin?
Yes.
Mr. Banta?
Yes. Motion for E1 through E3.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Quackenbush?
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Spindell?
Yes.
Ms. Favelovich? Mr. Itkin?
Yes.
Mrs. Mahan? Mr. Santana?
Yes.
Mr. Banta?
Yes. Could I have a motion for P1 through P6?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Favelovich? Ms. Quackenbush?
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Itkin?
Yes.
Mr. Spindell?
Yes.
Mr. Santana?
Can you come back to me, please?
Mrs. Mahan?
Yes.
Ms. Favelovich?
Yes,
No on P5J, like jack-o'-lantern. Right, okay, thank you. Mr. Santana.
No on P5J, Paul 5, Jack.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that, Mr. Santana?
No on P5J.
Yes,
Yes on everything else.
okay, thank you. Mr. Banta.
Yes. SC1 to SC3, motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Mahan.
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg.
Yes.
Ms. Quackenbush.
Yes.
Ms. Favelovich.
Yes.
Mr. Itkin.
Yes.
Mr. Santana.
Yes.
Mr. Spindell.
Yes.
Mr. Banta.
Yes. Motion for C1 and C2, please.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Itkin.
Yes.
Ms. Quackenbush.
Yes.
Mrs. Mahan.
Yes.
Ms. Favelovich.
Yes.
Mr. Spindell.
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg.
Yes.
Mr. Santana.
Yes.
And Mr. Banta.
Yes. Can I have a motion for F1 through F7?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Quackenbush.
Yes.
Mr. Spindell.
Yes.
Mr. Santana.
Abstain on F6J. Yes on everything else.
Mr. Rosenberg.
Abstain on F6J. Yes on everything.
Mr. Itkin.
Abstain on F6J, yes on everything else.
Ms. Favelovich.
Abstain on F6J, no on F6I as in ice cream, and everything else, yes.
Mrs. Mahan.
Abstain on F6J, yes to everything else.
Mr. Banta.
Yes. All right. Well done? All right, thank you. Okay. We're going to open it up to the public for comments, questions. I just ask that you step up to the microphone, state your name and your street, and you have the floor.
Good evening.
Okay. Ma'am?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good evening, Carmelina, Bradburn Road. So I just have a question in regards to the SEL program. I respectfully think that you guys are all very late to the meeting of planning goals for a school year that starts in 2 weeks. If you were so concerned about the emotional well-being of a child, this is a meeting that should have been held a long time ago and have goals in place. I understand everybody's lives is busy and a lot of things is going on with this pandemic, but 2 weeks before the school year starts is not the time to start planning for goals. From what I heard, the SEL is in development. Then why is it showing on students' schedules already to start September with it? If you're so concerned about the emotional well-being of a child, how do you think a child will feel when they look at the schedule and all of a sudden are asking, what does SEL mean? When I called my child's principal today, I was told it's just homeroom. That just means homeroom. No, that is not homeroom. And that's what makes me feel that I cannot trust this board right now. You are all forgetting why are you being put over there. You work for us, we don't work for you. Our taxpayers' money put you there. You stayed over there almighty thinking that you have the last voice, but you're forgetting who you work for. You're forgetting the rights that people have. If you're so concerned about a child's well-being, mental health, then why are there masks? Why are they made to feel that they have to be feared? Why are they made to be feel that they cannot be touched? Why are they made to be feel that they're something gross, that people need to be afraid of them? Are you aware that 99% of children do not get affected by this virus, and there are no research whatsoever that proves that a child spreads this virus? If you're so concerned about a child's well-being, talk to their parents. You do not make decisions over my child. My child, it is emotional stable. My child is well, but you cannot lump them in a whole bunch of people that may truly and compassionately, I say this, be needing those services. You have no right to over-educate my child and take my parental rights away. You do not know how I raise my children. With all due respect, parents need to be involved and you need to listen to them, because if you want to see yourself in those chairs, you need to listen to us. Not to the state, not to the governor, because even the governor works for us. We put him where he is right now. Thank you.
Pamela Coles, 13-34 George Street. By you not discussing these goals, you have failed. As a school board, you have failed the citizens and residents of this town, of Fair Lawn. You have not published these. You have failed as a school board to make this public. You do not belong on this board. How dare you? That you're implementing, or as this piece of paper says, to develop a emotional learning, or SEL program, at the middle and high school levels that builds upon the themes of diversity, inclusion, empathy, and critical thinking, communication, problem solving, and peer relationships incorporated into the existing elementary SEL program. What is the current SEL program that you're developing? That's what we were told by you. What is it that you are developing? Or do you already have it to implement? If it's already prepared and implemented, or ready to be implemented, then you are failing these parents. That you are identifying and addressing student learning gaps, I can understand that, because there's a huge gap of which our teachers have not been accountable for, that have been paid handsomely throughout this COVID pandemic, which is overextended. To increase in use of technology via an expanded 1.1:1 initiative. What does that mean? What's a 1.1: initiative?
It means one-to-one.
Okay, 1-to-1.
Every child will have their own device.
Hold on.
Could we just-
Initiative in the
could
middle
you just one at a
school.
time, please?
So basically, it's an initiative to communicate across a variety of mediums. What is a variety of mediums?
Nick,
You don't have the correct
Okay.
terminology here.
Okay.
You are
Ms. Cole,
failing. No,
Ma'am, you're out of time.
no, I'm not out of
We-
line. I'm questioning you. I'm questioning you.
Okay.
What do these mean?
If you have specific questions about the goals or curriculum field,
I
please
did.
feel-
I'm
Okay.
asking them.
And this is not the place to address those. You can send an email to the
we tabled them.
superintendent
No,
or
I
talk
have
to your
the
building
right to-
principal.
You even say across mediums. This is across a medium. I'm speaking.
Yes, and you now are 45 seconds over your time, and I
I
believe this
didn't
other...
know I was being
Yep.
timed. I would have bowed out.
Okay.
Next time, can you please let me know when my time is up? I will be more than happy to do that.
If we have time, we will come back to you, but there are several other people who'd like to speak.
very graciously, absolutely.
Thank you.
Hi. So Irene Cogan, Linwood Road. And I'd like to circle back on two things. So one, the SEL, the social emotional learning. I've seen a PowerPoint that's circulated for Fair Lawn, building equity teams. There's a whole lot of code language in there that I saw. It was in February 2020, I believe. I have it in my phone. I could provide it. The thing is this, and this is my view, all right? I know I'm not the only one that holds it. Children, young children, are tolerant. They're loving. They don't know how to hate unless they're taught that. I think the school should focus on academics and let me, the parent, teach my child how to do all those other things. That's my job. That's my role. I think my rights are being trampled on. And I think that if we focus on teaching science, excelling in those skills where we have STEM programs, maybe teaching business so kids know how to deal with finances and just building that, that would be fantastic on an academic level. You know, again, and I say this respectfully, you're public servants, your role is to serve us, the public, and I feel like that's not really happening. I don't think, you passed the curriculum, it seems, and I don't know how many people here know much about it. I know I don't know much about it. I think I'd like some input in that. My child's 9, you know, and I play an active role in his life. So I don't think the school should decide on everything about what should be input. You know, I should have a say in that. Last year, right when it ended, my son's music teacher took it upon himself to teach my 3rd grader about LGBTQ,
Okay.
and that wasn't part
Ma'am,
of
if
the
you have,
curriculum.
excuse me for interrupting, ma'am, and if we could pause the clock so we have your time.
Oh,
If
there's
you-
a clock now just because you didn't like what I said, right?
No, no.
Ma'am, if you have a personnel concern or a comment, we're
No,
not
I
going to let
called
you
the
talk about it
principal.
publicly,
I spoke
ma'am.
with the principal about
Okay.
it, but I'm bringing up a point. The fact is that that's what made me even come tonight, because of my lack of trust, the trust I had in the public school systems, because I graduated this high school. All right, and a lot has changed. And I don't see the credibility, I don't see the accountability. The principal assured me, oh, we're dealing with it, wouldn't tell me how. But it wasn't dealt with because I received an email from that teacher. Nothing's done. My child is 9. I want to feel confident sending my child to the Fair Lawn school systems, you know, Blue Ribbon School, Milnes, where I pay like, what, 65% of my taxes towards that, and you're trying to shut me up with all due respect.
You have 30 seconds.
Oh, great, yeah. Okay, so now the mask issue. Dental hygienists remove their masks within every hour, otherwise they inhale bacteria. Children who are 9 cannot maintain that type of hygiene or do anything for themselves as far as staying clean. They're inhaling bacteria. I'm glad the governor dictates and everybody has nothing to say about it here, but I would think that you, as our board, should say something.
Time's
When
up.
we took a survey a few months back, and the majority of Fair Lawn wants their kids unmasked.
Yeah.
So I ask you, and I urge you, to contact the governor on our behalf and do something. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening, and thank you for having this open mic. Fair Lawn resident.
Can you speak into the microphone a little bit closer, please?
I thought I am.
Okay, and your name and address, please.
Okay, Fair Lawn resident for a long time. My children went to the school system. I am a veteran teacher, a parent, and a grandparent. I realize that this board has many state mandates they have to deal with. Most specifically, I am concerned about the mask mandate for K-6 population and extended to K-12. Many studies have shown that masks are basically ineffective to stop the spread of COVID, most especially in the young children. I think it's doing more harm than good. I'm going to read you 3 points. Students are nearly zero risk of contracting or transmitting this respiratory illness and are instead buffers which help others build their immune system. The overall survival rate is 99.997. Children have already been exposed to unprecedented amounts of fear, instability, shaming, psychological trauma, and segregation through COVID-19 lockdowns and measures, and therefore are even more suggestible than their developmental stage would usually entail. It is the job of parents or legal guardians, not the governor or any other school official with influence on our children, to make medical decisions for them. In fact, I have testimony, and some of my former colleagues, first grade teachers and fourth grade teachers. They complain, they point to the language arts deficiency, especially in pronunciation and reading. Masks prevent correct visual modeling for teachers and feedback. And then, what about 504s? What about special ed? What about kids that just can't breathe? Okay? Please consider the overall ramifications and consider standing up for parents' rights. I will tell you that I've heard Rochelle Park is already sending a letter to Governor Murphy, as well as the Wayne District and many other districts around here. I'm asking you to stand up. Stand up for our parents and stand up for our kids. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hi, good evening. I have hearing aids, so I'm not sure if you hear me well. Can you hear me okay? Thanks.
Yes.
No? Okay. Any better?
Yes. That's
Much better, okay. My name is Dan Whalen, Floral Ave. Little quick background. My son is in Bridges 3 in the high school, okay? I'm a 1984 graduate of Fairlawn High School, lifetime resident. Just broadly on the masks, okay? That's not specifically why I'm here, but it's been mentioned a couple of times. My main point I want to make is the whole idea of full day back to school under Delta, okay? These decisions were made by Biden, Murphy, and dictated to the towns and the whole country under a previous understanding of this virus. Pre-vaccines, vaccines are start getting run up. And then the summer comes and it's 180. Science is telling us, doesn't matter who agrees or doesn't agree, that's not my point. You're saying that you're going back full time, okay? Because the country's saying it and the state is saying it, okay? Driving around right near my house, I see the tents going up for lunch, okay? There seems to be a lot of square peg, round hole decision-making going on with, as was just said, no blowback to the state or feds. It seems like you're just following instead of having independent decisions here, okay? It's just more of a question I have than anything than a statement of pro-mask, anti-mask, et cetera. But I will say this. I mentioned my son. Last day of school, came home with the mask. His oxygen level was 87 for a good half hour, all right? When he goes back in a couple weeks, I'm going to be really monitoring it a lot, all right? That's pretty much the last thing. One last thing, though, too, is looking at, from Mr. Norcia, what's different this year, that email, what's the same. One of them is IEPs are still Zoom. I'm not understanding why they're Zoom if my son can be in the school the whole day, okay, but I can't meet face-to-face with the teacher's IEP team that I'm part of. So that's just a little inconsistency I'm not understanding, just to maybe revise it. And last thing, because I have a feeling it's going to come up in a month or two, mandatory testing, either vaxxed or unvaxxed kids. No. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Bill Blanchard, Ellis Avenue. What's my time limit?
3 minutes.
Okay. All right, well, no, I need to know that, because I could say hello in a half an hour. There's a lot of information that has been given here, or supposed information that people have. I think some of it's opinion. I don't really know. Some people have said that the community doesn't want kids to wear masks. I don't know that that's true. There are a lot of people like myself that want masks to be worn because I want to keep myself safe, and I respect other people, and I want to keep them safe. I'm not here to debate that. I just don't want the board to listen to a handful of people that apparently have a particular thought, because there's a whole community out there that has another thought, and as we know, they don't always step forward and say anything. I want to thank the board, Mr. Norcia and the board, for all that they do, because I know it's a thankless job. It's something that's not often rewarded. I don't agree with all the board members. I certainly don't agree with most people on everything anyhow. But I know that you have to follow the science, and I'm not a scientist. My degrees are in education, and I've worked in the school systems for many years. And I think the scientists need to give us direction, and we need to follow that. We need to follow the mandates. And I know some people want the board to write a letter to the governor. I don't think the governor really cares. The governor knows what he's doing, and he's on a straight path. And I think that going back to school full-time is a wonderful thing. I think it's a great thing for the kids. I think it's a great thing for the community. And I have faith and trust in the educational leadership in this community that they're going to do the right things, and they're going to do the things that promote education and promote health, emotional, and social development for the children of this community. Both my sons have gone through this school system, extremely proud of what they've done, what they've accomplished, and the families that they are raising. One of them is raising them in town. And I want to see my grandchildren protected until they're vaccinated, and we know that under 12, they're not able to be vaccinated. So until they're vaccinated, I want them wearing masks. I want them to be safe, and I want their friends to be safe. But I thank you all for everything that you do. I think you're doing a wonderful job. I think you deserve to be there. I don't believe that you all deserve to be there all the time, but I do believe that you are doing a great job, and I thank you for your leadership and your efforts. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
I'll
Blanchard.
get booed for that, probably.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Tanya Resnick, and I live on 17th Street. I just have a question. I know when this all started, we had the option of doing either hybrid along those lines, but now we have Delta. So why is it that now we have full day with masks? I mean, I have a 7-year-old son, and half the time he can't breathe. I just think, we should have that option for our kids to go to school, if they go to school full day, to just have, the option of having hybrid. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there because I'm concerned. A 7-year-old can't wear masks the whole day. With germs and everything, they can't keep their masks clean the whole day. Even with the 3 masks for half day, it wasn't enough. I constantly had to give, tons of masks. So I just think that, it just doesn't make any sense to me, personally.
Thank you.
Hi, I want to elaborate further on this topic. My name is Marina Ashkenazi, and we live on Brearley Crescent, and we have 2 kids in the school system. The younger one is 5, and she's in special education. I want to add to what was said, that for language, speech, and social development, we need not only the audio input, but the visual inputs as well, and they are crucial, especially for young kids, for kids with disabilities, for kids in elementary school who are only learning the language. And masks impede this communication. Even we as adults feel it when we can't exchange smiles and can't communicate to each other what we mean. So it impairs education a lot. It doesn't let them learn the language, doesn't let them communicate and socialize properly. And in-person school is, the most important thing of it is in-person socializing. I want also to add to what was said before. We know, and it is official governmental data, that kids do not get sick from COVID mostly. They either don't get it at all, or they have it as a cold. A year ago, there was a valid concern that they could pass it to their family members. Now, all the family members are vaccinated, so kids are not passing it to anyone. And, well, most of all, it's hot, it's humid, it's hard to breathe. Adults, as soon as they get to the office, sit at the desk, they pull them down. And as soon as we get out of the grocery store, we pull them down and we breathe. And our kids will have to sit in them for 7 hours a day. I wanted to ask the board to consider masking to be optional again, and to thank you for conveying the survey 2 months ago and for making it optional then, and now to listen to us, because people of the Fair Lawn voted mostly against the masks. And help our kids learn, and also it's important for them to see the faces of their teachers so that they could learn the language and learn how the words, how the sounds are pronounced. Several of the New Jersey districts sent memorandums or letters or concerns to the government of the state stating this, and some of the Board of Educations, they allowed the parents to opt out their kids from the mandatory masking. For example, Brick Township, Wayne Township, Fairfield, Bear Place, Stafford schools. Maybe Fair Lawn could do the same, because you are our representatives and you convey our voices to the government.
Thank you.
Hi, Judy Jonides, Greenwich Place. I just want to let you know that, as a parent of 2 graduates and a middle schooler, I fully support the board and the mask mandates in order to let our kids get back to school, be able to socialize, and just, basically just to be back together. It's really to protect our children and to protect the families. My daughter has been doing sports. She's done volleyball and gymnastics, fully masked for, the last 1.5 years. And I don't see the kids complaining nearly as much as the parents. This is a public safety and health issue. It's not about whether the kids, are not happy. They have to be safe. Oh, additional question. Will the teachers, especially for foreign languages, be wearing a face shield so that kids can see their face?
Foreign languages is still a mask. It's not one of the requirements.
No, I'm saying the teachers, will they have a face shield or will they be wearing masks?
As of right now, I will look into it further, but Executive Order 251 does not give us that opportunity for them to, it wasn't one of the exclusion areas like music or outside or due to a disability.
Okay.
But I will be more than happy to bring that up to the Health Department because it's a good point.
So you're saying that there are exclusions for disabilities?
With proper documentation.
Okay, I think that's fair. Thank you.
Thank you.
Paula Shuck. I'm at 9-10 6th Street. First, I want to say a quick prayer to all of our soldiers that are fighting in Afghanistan. It's been a very stressful few days, Mr. Narcia, I'm sure you know. Things have not been so great with losing our soldiers today. With that being said, with the mental health issue, I wanted to speak on behalf of my son, who is classified, who has had trouble with school all of his life. Having a father that has deployed several times and has served for 18 years. I want you to know that with Fairlawn High School, with the Board of Ed, the special education, they have been amazing with my son. When you guys don't have answers, I want you to know that my son was failing every school subject. And Fair Lawn, their special education, the staff, got him to honor roll all last year, all A's. So there is something good out of this. I understand the mask situation, and it sucks, but they're only human, these people. And I'm one to voice my opinion. I know that it's all over, that I get angry and I voice it, but I want you guys to know as parents that they can only do so much. Mr. Narcia, I want you to know my son will be going to school with his mask because he needs it. There are some kids that need to be in school, hands-on, to learn. And as much as it sucks that he has to be there for countless hours, I want you guys to know that there are breaks. They can get up, not all the time, but they can get up and have a mask break.
We're not going to have an argument back and forth, people. Please.
Let me finish, thank you.
Yeah, this is Ms. Shuck's time.
There will be breaks for children if they need it. They cannot say, if your child says, I cannot breathe, they could get a break. My son will be in school day one. And I'm not as upset as I am with the mask that he has to physically walk into school and think that his dad might go back to war. That's mental. I need you guys to hear my son. When he says he needs a break, he needs a break. No mask is worth right now what he's going through, what we are going through. So I thank the school. I know everyone's hard on you right now. I'm angry too over the mask, but I thank you guys for keeping him alive. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shuck. Let me just see. We have two people going to speak, okay, and then. All right, hold on.
Pretty much it's just me saying something.
Okay, just state your name, please.
Rosa Santora from Pomona Avenue, Fair Lawn. Thank you so much for listening to hear the parents. I also have a big concern about the masks. I'm a preschool teacher, and not in Fair Lawn, but I'm very concerned about the students for kindergarten and first grade because that's the time when they learn the letter sounds, and it's very, very important that they see the teacher's mouth when she makes the sounds of, for example, the long and short sounds of the vowels. It's extremely important. So I'm very concerned how these young children are going to learn that. And I think the mask is going to be a big issue. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. This is the first time we come to the meeting. And also, I came with one big question because I heard about the CTR or CRT, the critical race theory, that there is a big controversial, and I see a lot of parents talking against this curriculum. So my daughter is going to high school, and I'm very, very concerned about this curriculum. And I think I heard you guys saying that it's been approved. Is that right?
Our curriculum has been improved, not CRT.
Not CRT. All right. Are you guys planning to include the CRT in the curriculum for next year?
We follow the New Jersey Student Learning Standards by the Department of Education. That's what drives our curriculum, and CRT is not part of that. But I will tell you that if you do have a specific question about, you said your daughter is going into ninth grade?
Yes.
If you have a specific question about your daughter's grade or curriculum or what they're learning in there, please email us, and we'd be more than happy to put you in touch with the right person so that they could talk to you exactly about what she'll be learning.
All right, thank you.
Sorry for pulling my mask down for that, too.
Thank you. If we could just do me a favor, anybody who wants to speak could just, line up or sit on the red seat side, so I know how many we got left. I'd appreciate it.
Hi, Matilda Tabor. Oh, wow, I'm loud. Northern Drive. First of all, Mr. Norcia, I want to thank you for calling me about Ashley. She is doing great. She has been cleared by her neurologist and is able to start college. So that was a very positive thing. Cindy, thank you as well for all the help you gave me. Really, really appreciated it. I also have twin sons, so you guys aren't getting rid of me yet. They're in 8th grade at TJ. Both are IEP students. They've had an IEP since they were 3. They started at Edison, then they went to Radburn, then Milnes, then TJ. I have nothing but great things to say about the schooling my boys have received. They're struggling with the masks. They have sensory issues, and I can't even buy certain types of clothing because they can't wear it, because that's all they will do is fidget all day. Until you have something like that, it's really hard to understand. Masks, no masks, I think everybody has a right to decide what they want for themselves. I understand the governor has made a mandate. He is forcing everyone to wear one. He is forcing the schools to enforce this. I'm hoping that as this goes on, it will become a personal choice, because I know my boys, and the fear that I have of them being in class and being more concerned about this than listening to their teacher when they've come so far and now have lost a little bit, like all the children have, to even fall further behind, it will absolutely kill me as a mother. So all I'm asking is, let's think about what our choices can be. And for children who have sensory issues, who aren't able to just put it on and forget about it. Not every child fits the same size. And I just want to make sure that as a board, you guys remember that. Okay?
Thank you very much, Ms. Tabor.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. Mel Dershauer, Eberlin Drive. My mind is racing. It's all over the place. What a meeting. I don't even know which topic I'd like to address first. One quick question on the Sanford Harmony SEL. I just want to double check that this is nothing new, that this is the same instruction that our kids were getting, like especially in my dining room table all last year when they had their SEL, or is this, I don't know if this is something different. I kind of assumed it was the same, obviously new material, and that's what's up for discussion, but that it's not new, correct?
No, the program that you're speaking about, Sanford Harmony, is the program that's been in existence for probably about 4 years here in Fair Lawn, and we rolled it out at the elementary level, but now we were looking at rolling something out more at the secondary level as well.
Oh, okay, gotcha. That was the part I missed, because I'm like, clearly I missed something. My second thing is, I don't know if I'm allowed to even say this, but I feel like we're fortunate to the point that we start late. I mean, I know this year everyone's saying how we're starting earlier and before Labor Day and whatever, but many districts have already opened neighboring states have already opened. I'm a big fan of watching what's going on in those schools. I was on my way here today, and somebody said, hey, can you just bring up the fact that when Florida, I have a friend that opened, schools opened, whatever, 3 days later, we were home. They were in lockdown, schools were virtual again. I'm not going to say virtual was horrible for everybody. Obviously, that's not the case. There were students that excelled and did great. My kids were not fortunate enough to be in that category, so they struggled a lot. I feel like anything and everything that you guys, the administration, the board, can do to keep our schools open, like, please, you know, I welcome it and encourage it and appreciate keeping our schools open. I don't know about the whole... 30 seconds. Okay, then I got a question. Then I need a favor. I got to squeeze that one in. So I wanted to ask Mr. Banta if it at all would be possible for him to kind of lead the board in a direction of getting the town to maybe work with Flace a little bit. We were hoping, like, once the splash pad park, whatever, was finally open, that we would be able to borrow it and have like a closed Flace event for our special needs community. And I mean, I can ask, obviously, you know, mayor@fairlawn.org. I'm emailing him all the time, but maybe if you could help us.
I'll be glad to. Just, why don't you email me, tell me what you're looking for, and I can, I'll talk to Nick, and we can talk to the powers that be at the borough.
Perfect. All right, that's all. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Craig, you're closing, so go ahead. I asked everybody to line up over here if you wanted to speak. Okay, come on over then. Okay. Work is a good excuse. Okay, Craig, shoot.
Craig Miller, Round Terrace. For the past year and a half or so, I have worked at different offices and hospitals. I have health issues, like one of them is diabetes. I have seen both sides between people walking out of the hospital and people being not going out of the hospital. I can't speak for the mask. The mask, I don't like it, but I did everything I could, including getting the vaccine, to protect myself and my mother. I don't know what the answer is with masks, but I have been at locations for 9 hours wearing a mask and no break. As far as internet or Zoom meetings, guys, I've sat at your board meetings online. I can't do it. Seriously, to sit in front of a computer for 9 hours looking at a monitor, that's no good for your eyes. I don't know what the answer is. We're doing the best we can with what we have. All I'll say is if you're 12 and over, teacher, parent, or whatever, get vaccinated and wear a mask. Do everything possible that you can do to protect yourselves. And if we can protect our kids wearing a mask, we can work with that. But I'm alive, I'm a lifelong resident, and I graduated from this high school. I'm alive. I mean, I have health issues, but I'm alive. We have to do everything we can in this country to protect ourselves. And people that use the excuse, this or that, hey, that's your choice. But I have seen people in hospitals not coming out of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Craig.
Hi, my name is Preeti Rudnick, and first of all, I don't know who you are, and I completely agree with you. So I have worked the pandemic, and I'm finally slowly getting some days back to myself for 5 days a week for the last year and a half. I'm in healthcare for 23 years. I know some of you up there know me. I'm not sure if any of you know me. But I do think at the point where we are at clinically right now, the right thing definitely is to be vaccinated. Most of the patients across the United States of America are unvaccinated. There are breakthrough cases coming in now of Delta. I have colleagues that are vaccinated at this point clinically. I'm just telling you what's going on in the hospitals. That are vaccinated, getting breakthrough cases, but are not critically ill unless they're immunocompromised. The only way we can save the kids of the next generation is by getting 12 and above vaccinated. I'm on so many boards, so many teams fighting for our kids, for strangers that I don't know, constantly helping, so that we can continue to help the younger generations. I have a son who's 10 who will be coming through the school system at TJ. He is unvaccinated because he doesn't qualify yet. I'm now at my next month to get, as a healthcare worker, a booster next month. I'm on standby because I'm a senior at my hospital, and I will be getting that booster. And I get regularly swabbed, my kids get regularly swabbed, we do antibody testing, and we do spit tests, which I have now, in the last month, across New Jersey, helped at many booster vaccination sites, not just for boosters immunocompromised, I mean to get these kids in that are 12 and above vaccinated to protect our educational staff and to protect the kids. And the only way that we can continue for health care, this is not about politics anymore. This is about each and every one of ours health. This is now survival at this point. And the only way we can protect.
No, she still has a minute. Excuse me. She's speaking. I understand you disagree with her, but I don't think it's proper to be.
I'm going to stay here and speak as long
Hold-
as I want.
Hold on,
So
hold on.
thank you. I have worked yesterday at the hospital, and I worked late today
Okay,
for
hold-
vaccination. So I am here, and I'm going to speak.
She still has a minute.
Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Banton. So if my 10-year-old is coming in here and he's not vaccinated, he has worn a mask since last year. I don't know who spoke. I just heard somebody speak about a pulse ox saturation of their child being 86%. That is a complete lie. I don't know who said it in here, but your child.
Miss Rudnick, please don't insult people. I understand what you're saying, but please just stick to the topic.
Okay, but what I'm saying is a child can wear it. For you to continue to monitor a patient, that patient must have that pulse oximeter on throughout the whole day like they're monitored in a hospital. Particles are going to fly through the air. You're going through a district of some kids that are not vaccinated, some kids that are. I vaccinated a 24-year-old female teacher in Hoboken today that was hesitant to get it. All of last year, their principal kept those kids in. You can look up Hoboken District. Those kids were kept in with masks. Many school districts are also doing swabbing, antibody testing, and spit tests with mobiles outside of their schools, which I had suggested last year of a friend in this district whose husband works for it, which I think, Nick, I had mentioned it. We can get that on board for free, paid by the government. Nobody has to pay him. There are mobiles throughout New Jersey. Bayonne, I got those high school, middle school kids
Ms. Rudnick,
vaccinated.
you now have used up your time, so.
Okay, but the safest thing to do, you got fifth graders coming in here that are under 12. I work at the hospital too right now. Okay, you're seeing across the United States of America, the Wayne who wants to go unmasked.
Ms. Rudnick,
No,
it
it is going to
is
spread. Once you take these masks off,
Ms. Rudnick.
Delta will spread. No,
Miss-
you're going to have to close the schools, go remote. I'm telling you that right now.
Well, I understand.
If that's the way you want to head.
But Ms. Rudnick, your time is up.
Well, I hope there's more time because I'm not finished speaking. That's
No,
why I'm
no,
here.
but ma'am, your time is up.
Okay, well,
You're-
I'm telling you, that is the safest thing. You have to follow CDC
I
protocol.
we
That's why
understand
there
it's
are
your opinion.
scientists, and that's why there are people behind this. Many
I-
of you, we live in
Ms.
a country
Rudnick,
that is privileged to get a vaccine.
I don't
There are
wanna have to cut
countries
off
that
your
are not
microphone.
privileged to get vaccines right now, people. Unfortunately, many people are
Corey.
tearing down healthcare workers.
Corey,
You
could
don't
you,
get it.
Corey, could you? Yeah, Corey, could you? No, we gotta cut board comments. Corey, cut off the microphone for the public, please. Thank you very much. No, the public comments are done. Public comments are done. Thank you. Public comments are done. It's now time for the board to speak. We've been talking about this for 45 minutes now, and I think probably about 15 people spoke. So no, ma'am, okay. The microphone is off. I'm now going to ask the members of the board if they have any questions or comments, it's board comment time. Okay, any members of the board want to make a comment or have a question?
He has a comment. Michael has a comment.
Michael?
Thank you, everybody, and thank you for your passion on the subject. It's a rough. I know it's a rough subject, and I've heard from the public in both ways. Unfortunately, the board has to follow the board has to follow. Excuse me.
I really don't appreciate people yelling out from the audience while Mr. Rosenberg or anybody else is speaking, so if you could please.
Unfortunately, the
refrain.
board has to follow by our ethics training and by the ethics laws of the state of New Jersey. The board has to follow the executive orders from the government. I just wanted to comment on, I don't know if Mrs. Coles is still here. I happened to look, I know that there was a mistake in the printed agenda. I happened to look, that's what I was doing on my phone. I went into the board draft agenda on the website, and it was the correct board goals, the correct district goals, rather, were on the website in the draft agenda that the public gets to see. So they were correct. They were, so I apologize. I don't know how it got printed wrong here, but on the website, it's the correct agenda. It was the correct, goals. So I just wanted to say that. I understand this topic. I'm a teacher. I've went through teaching with masks. I went through teaching virtually last year. I went through teaching half and half. And I know in my heart that the best way that kids learn is in front of a teacher. Yes, it's going to be difficult. As far as social emotional learning, as Ms. Dershauer said, that has been around in this district for 4 years. There's nothing new about social emotional learning. On the district goals, the change is that we want to help kids grow throughout middle and high school too, because the Sanford Harmony program has been successful. And yes, unfortunately, the schools do need mental health initiatives. The school needs mental health initiatives, one, because we just went through a pandemic and our kids are hurting. And our schools need mental health initiatives because we live in a different world right now. And yes, I'm sure you could opt out of the social emotional learning if you think it is. And this summer, just so you know, and I did what I promised I was going to do, I started studying critical race theory, and it is not what, first of all, there's no real good definition for critical race theory. It's all over the place when you read the articles about it. And the second thing is that is not what we're trying to teach our children. And I'm a social studies teacher, and I know that that's not what we're trying to teach our children. We're trying to teach our children how to negotiate our history and how to critically think our history. So SEL is not CRT in any stretch of the imagination. And yes, that's my opinion. And the last thing is, I've been on this board for a while. People, thank you for electing me to this position and re-electing me to this position. I know that everyone is worked up over a lot of things, but it's not fair to us. I could take it, But that's not fair. Some of the comments is not fair to us. We spend a lot of time up here for no money. We don't get any benefit for being up here. The only thing we get is that the 5,400 kids in our district get a good education. That's
30
why
seconds,
we're here.
Mike.
I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming, by the way.
All right, any other board members, questions or answers? Mr. Santana and then Julie. All right, was Julie first? I'm sorry. Okay, Julie. Santana.
So first and foremost, I just want to thank Ms. Bartley for her time in our district. We have been very grateful to have her over the last 8 years, and it has been such a pleasure getting to know you and seeing the work you do and all you have done for our community. So thank you so much, and we wish you well.
Thank you very much.
Second, thank you so much for everyone who came out tonight or who sent in emails or letters or reached out to your building principals or to our administration. Your passion is noted, and I would like everyone to keep in mind your passion is noted on a variety of topics. However, as a board, we do have to consider our boundaries in terms of what we need to uphold as board members. Please keep in mind that we are bound by curriculum from the state of New Jersey. So when we are considering what our administrators are developing, we are bound by the New Jersey standards for curriculum. And we have to trust that our administration is going to do what's best for our community and our children. Second, I highly recommend that if you have concerns about what the governor is enforcing in regards to executive orders, that you personally reach out to our governor, as did I, for what I feel is the most important for my community and my children. Our responsibility is to 5,400 children. We need to consider 5,400 children returning to our buildings, ensuring that they are safe and the staff and teachers and faculty are safe. Losing a child or a staff member or a faculty member is an impossible thing to come back from. Consider what occurred in Paramus a number of years ago. They are still reeling from the effects of that bus accident. The loss of any child or any staff member is an impossible thing to come back from. And at this point, we are all very passionate about how we feel, and I highly recommend you reach out on your own behalf to our governor, because what we have to do is consider 5,400 children. And if one child loses their life, we are responsible for that. So we are going to ensure that every child is kept safe. Oh, one more thing. Mrs. Shuck, please thank your husband for his service, and we are considering and thinking of your family.
Thank you, Julie. Mr. Santana.
I really want to say today is a great day because we got to listen to the community. I've been on this board for 3 years. My term ends in December. And I do not recall having so many people present at a meeting. So all of you, regardless of your difference of opinions, all of you are role models in our community for our children. So I applaud you and I thank you. We are volunteers. A lot of people think we get paid to be board members. This is like someone just said, thankless job. But there are some of you who thank us for what we do. I know I'm not a perfect board member. I don't know if anyone here is, but I make mistakes and I learn from them. But I really want to say thank you for all of you because you are the community. We serve you. My number one obligation are the children of Fair Lawn and the community. Because in order for someone to become a board member, you have to vote for us. So we have to listen to you. However, like Ms. Mahan stated, we have to follow this law, the ethics law. We have to follow the law as board members, right? Or we get in trouble with the law. And The original plan, as I recall, was the optional mask, okay? And my personal individual preference was optional mask. That's what my personal individual preference. However, Governor Murphy came with this executive order mandating this. So, like Ms. Mahan stated, we have to air those comments, a lot of those comments to him, you know, and, you know, I literally almost cried listening to some of you. I am a very emotional person. A lot of people don't know that. But if your husband or is, you know, is serving our country, if you have a child who's special needs, if you have been affected by COVID or know someone that have been affected, or if you have a very strong opinion about the mask, you have the right to do that. And we have to be united as a community. We have to respect the people that disagree with us, and we have to respect equally those who agree with us. Because I didn't know this, but 1/3 of the community has a different idea than what we think. So tonight, it was a clear example of difference of opinions. I am for choice. I support parent choice. That's my opinion. Maybe I'm not a cup of tea of some people because of that. But I support the parents. Now, I'm going to ask you for a big favor. I'm going to ask you for a big favor tonight, okay? I'll be off the board after December 31st, and you won't see me here, okay? Because I want to dedicate more time to my wife and my lovely daughter. But please keep coming back. Please keep getting involved. Please speak and let everybody here know how you feel about not just this topic, all topics, because you are the reason why we have a Board of Education. You are the community. But remember this, we have to be good role models for our children. We have to listen to one another, we have to respect one another, but we also have to be involved with our school. We have PTAs. Join your local PTA or PTO. Visit your school. Reach out to the teacher. Don't go over the teacher's neck. Before you reach out to the principal, reach out to the teacher. The teachers are going through a lot of stressful situation, having to teach last year in person and remotely. It's a lot. They were not trained to do that. I'm a teacher myself. And I'm telling you, there's a lot of people retiring all over because of the stress. And then there's not enough people to teach because too many are retiring. And, you know, so please, let's just be conscious of how we say things and not offend each other, because we are all Americans. And we need to be together now in this very troubling time when some parents have lost their children in Afghanistan. So at the end of the day, mask, no mask, support the mask or don't support the mask, life is what matters. Hug your children and grandchildren tonight. And I want to say, Wilkins Santana, the person speaking right now, I love you and I thank you for everything. And you are my neighbor regardless if you support a mask or you don't. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Santana. Any other board members who haven't spoken? Cindy?
Yes, I also want to thank the members of the public for coming out and speaking, and I did hear everything that everybody said. To Matilda, thank you for thanking me. I'm glad that everything is good with your daughter, and anything I did with my heart. And to Paula, I thank you, your husband, for his service. I also have a son who was military and was deployed 2 years ago, and I thank God that he is home safe. And my heart does go out to all of our veterans, all of our servicemen, and we need to come together as the United States and keep them in our thoughts and prayers, and just pray to God that they all get home safely. And thanks again for your service.
Thank you, Cindy. Any other board members who haven't spoken in this round? No? Seeing none? Okay. What's the next board meeting? September
You have a board retreat on September 18th at 8:30 in the morning. It's going to be at the Memorial Media Center. On September 23rd, you'll have your regular monthly meeting again here in the Fairlawn High School auditorium.
Okay, thank you. At this time, could I have a motion to recess into closed session?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Let's take a 5-minute break.